Well, people, I will say it's been a real pleasure, right? Just connecting with the BFI because I've seen some really interesting films, and today's is no different, right? I got the opportunity to go check out Fungi, the Web of Life, right? It is directed by Gisela Kaufmann, Mike Slee, and Joseph Nizeti. Nizeti also co-writes the film with Paul Phelan and Catherine Marciniak. Right? It is produced by David Gross, Joanne McGowan, Sarah Noonan, and Jennifer Pedum. It's executive produced by Stephen Axford, Phil Hunt, and Catherine Marciniak. Piers Burbrook de Vere handled the music, Cam Batten cinematography, Paul Phelan edits the piece. Right, we got visual effects from Gabrielle Joyston, Jeremy Nicolaides, Louise Nikolovsky, and Callum Reynolds. Okay, and everything is narrated by Björk. Yes, Björk. Right. So the gist, right? The gist of the whole thing is this: much of life on Earth is connected by a vast hidden network that we were only just beginning to understand. Out of sight, between the world of plants and animals, another world exists: the kingdom of fungi. Through the eyes of passionate biologist and writer Merlin Sheldrake, join us on this brilliant round the world journey into the secret world of fungi through dazzling images of fungi under the microscope and all around us in the forest. Merlin unravels the many secrets of these essential organisms in the web of life. So much more than mushrooms. Not only do fungi shape the weather and support life on land, they are at the cutting edge of medical research and even have the power to break down plastic waste. Narrator and iconic artist Björk takes us from the ancient Tasmanian Tarkine Rainforest to the mystical wilds of China's Yunnan province in search of solutions to some of our planet's biggest challenges. Can the answers be found in the wonderful world of fungi? Right? Which is fascinating. It really is fascinating, people. Because I think there's things that you might know and things you don't. Right? Like the majority of fungi is underground, you know? And most fungi isn't mushroom. It's just like, yo, it's crazy. There's 90 um iluescent, oh, I might have said that wrong, glow in the dark mushrooms, right? It's crazy. So we got a director's statement, and it's this: the living world is connected by a hidden kingdom of life we're just beginning to understand. So goes the first line of our film, Fungi Web of Life, a journey into the surprising ways fungi interconnect nature and the incredible opportunities they offer to humanity. If we are able to conserve and protect them, it was a gift to be able to explore fungi at a critical moment when the topic was breaking out across our culture. Every other day, we seem to see another book, article, or news story pop up about their revolutionary possibilities in science, medicine, and industry. Discovering the hidden kingdom of fungi fundamentally changed the way I think about nature. And as a lifelong nature lover, that came as a very big shock. Beginning the research for this film a little over 2 years ago, I was amazed that humble mushrooms could hide so many secrets. More importantly, though, fungi slowly forced me to reconsider what it really means to be part of an ecosystem, to be embedded in the web of life. By learning about fungi, I began to understand not only where so many of our foods and medicines come from, but where plant life itself came from and how forests exist at all. The guide on our journey is the biologist and writer Merlin Sheldrake. Merlin opened my eyes, as he is for so many others, to an entirely different way of thinking about fungi. Collaborating with Merlin has been an absolute joy. He continues to surprise us with his sense of wonder and imagination when talking about nature, and remains at the forefront of pushing forward public awareness and scientific understanding around fungi. Through some synchronicity with her latest album, Feroza, we were able to we also able to approach Björk to narrate the film. Not only is Björk one of the most important artists of her generation, her passion and knowledge about the topic was palpable as we recorded her voice, a passion I'm sure will be infectious for audiences. Collaborating with the visual minds behind the film was also a thrill. The jaw dropping mushroom time lapse photography of Steve Axford and Catherine Marciniak of Planet Fungi is the visual centerpiece of our film. Each of these difficult to capture shots condensed hours or days of mushrooms growth into a handful of seconds, bringing mushrooms vividly to life on the giant screen, enhanced by the spellbinding sound design of Liam Egan. Each of these shots is like a fireworks display of color, an innovation to imagination and wonder. Likewise, the microscopic time lapse photography of Win van Egmond enabled us to tell the story of fungi at the microscopic scale, beginning with a single spore. Wim brings an incredible eye and great taste to his work, which enabled us to tell a story in the macro world, which was visually thrilling as well as scientifically rigorous. Through Wim's work, we can appreciate firsthand the beauty and mystery of fungi in all their forms, collaborating with columnist VFX to tell the story of the wood Wide Web enabled us to go even further in bringing and enhancing mysteries of fungal life to the giant screen. I'd also like to thank the cinematographer Cam Betten, editor Paul Phelan, composer Piers Burbok Devere, and Gisela Kaufmann, who each contributed to so much to the beauty, emotion, and ideas of the project. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank the legendary post production team of technical wizards at Definition Studios, Tamita Kuhu and Scott Koppelhuber, who put in untold hours of effort making every shot in these IMAX films look gorgeous in 2D and 3D. So, yeah, this is an IMAX release, right? Now, I can't see 3D, but I brought along the great Daniel Glenn Barber, and he told me that it looks stunning. It looks stunning, right? Just the colors were crazy. Like the way they brought this to life. Like you'd see Merlin walk through a forest, and as the camera kind of panned out, we saw like it kind of gave us a cross section of the earth, and we saw the roots all lit up, and then like the lifeblood of the trees, the fungi in the trees, all illuminated and everything like that. So it looks incredible. And then the night shots, we see the, you know, iridescent fungi and mushrooms just lighting everything up. So yeah, visually. And also, yo, some of these scientists work in incredible buildings, like incredible buildings, people, right? We we travel all over the place. You know, we go to the rainforest in Tarkine in Australia, Byron Bay, the Yunnan province in China, and that research facility was insane, right? We there's a magical mushroom company, um, evocative, right, in the States, and the Royal Botanical Gardens of Kew, which I love Q. Q is just, but as soon, right? Because the cameras, like we've got a drone shot coming in at Q, and the minute you see a little glimpse, you know where it is, right? You sit and be like, that's Q, right? Which I'm like, why are we going to Q, right? So then you find out that Q has, well, it's at the heart of this whole research, which was fascinating. Yeah, it's just straight fascinating. Like they've got a million mushrooms and fungi, right? That they research and look at, and which is just because I think you go to Kew and you know you mainly see all the flowers and all stuff like that. Now they do have, you know, fungi and, you know, cacti and just all of this stuff, but it's majority of flowers. So it's just fascinating to know that they're at the heart of all of this, right? So we just learn about, and I'd forgotten, ain't gonna lie, I'd forgotten that penicillin was fungi, right? That it was an accident how they discovered that. So then when you remember and it gets mentioned, you're like, oh fuck, yeah. So there's all this medical research that's going into it, right? And we know that mushrooms are, I mean, very important when it comes to certain like medical kind of research with like PTSD, um, you know, addiction therapy. There's so many different things that mushrooms have been utilized for and are being looked into, right? So yeah, it's, man, it just blows your mind, right? Now, there's other things which you don't even think about, right? So the company Evocative in the States, they are using mushrooms and fungi as a new resource, right? Because we know plastics aren't good. So they were just like, you know, ways of creating a kind of a polystyrene material that's super strong but decomposes, right? And they're just showing all these different things that they're making out of fungi and mushroom, which was just like, I'd never even thought about it, right? We learn that fungi impacts rain, right? It creates rain. I didn't know that. I did not know that. That was just like, what? So we learned so much in this documentary. It's 40 minutes, but you are hit with so much information. It's fantastic. There are some things that I'd learned from podcasts, right? Like Joe Rogan Experience. he speak to many different researchers and scientists, and so you learn some different things, right? The whole web system, right? That everything is connected by this root kind of ecosystem, which is insane. The way it talks to each other and they utilize each other to survive and live. 90% of plants need fungi to survive. Didn't know that. Incredible, right? Incredible. So we get all of this information, this visual experience, which is just stunning. And I'll say this too, like Björk as a narrator is great, right? But the way Björk and Merlin's voices complement each other really do add to this experience, right? Because I think sometimes in films and documentaries and all of this jazz, right, you have narrators and the voice can be very irritating. It's not a great voice, right? And sometimes scientists, fascinating people, but the voice, right, the delivery, not always the best. But this, man, it was great. Now, I did think it was a shame that we didn't really speak to any indigenous peoples, right? Because when you do and you learn about, the fact that they've been using these, plants for millennium, well, then we'd probably say decades. Millennium is probably, what records? Decades. They've been using them throughout, right? As medicines and, different things like that. So I think that would have really been another interesting element to this. I think it would have added extra depth. But what we do get is good, is really good. So, it's playing at the BFI, at their IMAX facility, which is so, like, I hadn't been to the IMAX for a little bit, and you forget, right? So just walking into that screen, and it's just like, oh my god, this is so fucking big, so big, right? So yeah, you get this incredible experience, and as I said, look, I can't see 3D, but I was told really nice, and immersive. So if you get the opportunity, I highly recommend you go check out Fungi Web of Life, because yeah, so much, right? And I did like the fact that it's not just in one country. We go all over the place. So you're learning all of this different stuff and how these different countries are, looking at it and exploring it. So yes, there'll be a link on the website, right, in the whole Fungi Web of Life information on booking tickets and all of that. So definitely, people, go check it out. You will not be disappointed. Yeah, enlighten your mind with Fungi Web of Life.